Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK. Today is the 9th of December 2024, which is a Monday, and I'm so glad you're joining me today to talk about some knitting. It's been a week. It feels like it's been longer than a week. I think December has really struck. It's just so busy. It is a bit crazy. But I thought I'd take the chance today to record a tiny little video to update you on what I've been working on. And most excitingly, I have finished something. Look at what I am wearing. It has 2 sleeves and it is a unblocked fuzzy rebel cardigan. I was going to block it, but then I wouldn't have been able to show it to you today. And today is sort of my last chance to record before I don't know what happens next. More about this later. So I thought I'd give you the unblocked version. I can't really get up and show it to you very well like this, but I did show it without sleeves last episode in terms of the body length, if you're into that. And yeah, I have just finished the ribbing and I knit 2 sleeves. I think I knit the first one in a day and the second one didn't take much longer than that either. And the fit is glorious. I wish that I had blocked it in time, and I wish that tomorrow wasn't my work Christmas party, just so I could wear this tomorrow at work. This is just perfect. I've just put this on. Like I said, I think with blocking it will relax a bit and fall a bit nicer. I haven't added any buttons or buttonholes, which I could always do a sort of afterthought buttonhole if I wanted to, but I don't think it needs it. I should say this is the Rebel cardigan by Anke Strick, who is a German designer, and I knit it out of yarn that I have upstairs. I knit it out of no I didn't. I knit it out of Studio Donegal Darny yarn, and the incredible thing is that I only use 250 grams of yarn, which how that is possible I do not know. I did full length sleeves, which again they should grow a bit with blocking. Sort of hip length. I think I made it about 2 centimeters longer than the pattern suggests for the short version. And somehow it's only used 250 grams of yarn, which is crazy. I think part of it is that this is a woolen spun yarn, so it is very sort of fluffy and less heavy. But yeah, I'm really amazed and I love it. It's perfect. And I was actually looking at more red yarn yesterday to make more red jumpers, which is crazy. I'm not sure what's going on with me. Especially considering I still have my red nebula sweater that I have ignored for a month to work on, but I apparently want more red things. I'm really into red, which is crazy. So yeah, Rebel cardigan is done. I love it. I love the pattern. It's tricky to start with. It's not a beginner pattern, but she sort of holds your hands and has little diagrams of what part you're knitting on, like all of the complicated stages. So I really appreciated that, and yeah, it's been a fun one, and I'm really glad to have it done as well. I feel like I haven't really had garment mojo, and I've just sort of had all these garments as whips, and now I'm at least down from 3 to only 2, so that is exciting. Which leads us nicely into works in progress, because now that this one is done, I am determined to keep on working on some garments just to make some progress. So I have done a bit on this, which is the Clive sweater by Sandnes Garn. I am using the original yarn, which is Peer Gynt, Tynn Peer Gynt, the thin version. And I'm using the colors that I used in the men's pattern of this. So there's a men's, a kids, and a ladies version, I think. And yeah, I think I had to split for the sleeves last time I showed this to you. And I've just been sort of working on the body and looking at this. I'm realizing I've done more than I thought I did. I think I was somewhere up here last time I showed it to you. So yeah, I'm just going in the round. It's just color work in the round, but it is on something like a, I don't know, 26, 27 stitch gauge. So it is a little bit cumbersome, but look, it looks nice, doesn't it? So I have been working on this a little bit, and I do want to keep pushing myself to work on this a little bit. And then one day I need to sit down and work out the length that I want on my nebula. That's when I'm sort of stuck on this one. This is by Andrea Mowry. This is my second version of her nebula sweater. but it's bottom up and I want to make it longer, and I just haven't had the brain space to figure out how long I want to make it before I start splitting for the fronts and backs. So yeah, that is another garment whip, and I'm just speeding through my works in progress today. I'm sorry. But should we talk about the more interesting bits? Let's talk about Advent knitting, because I have been making my Advent project. I have a yarn Advent calendar by Indie Yarn Club, who are here in the UK. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please do look away, but I don't think it's one of the popular ones. I really like it. It's got a really cool color combo, which sort of is very much my jam. Like all the preview pictures and mood boards were very much like pinks and yellows and purples, which is obviously my thing. And I am making the vignette wrap by Helen Stewart. So this is what I showed you last week, and my camera is blowing out. This is where we are. Isn't this fun? It is, I mean, it is very bright. It is a bit darker in real life. I'm not sure. No, my camera is not having it. But the bottom is a very nice sort of saturated purple. And as you can see, it's just fading through these colors into a neon yellow. And now we've reached this orangey bit, which is the first color that I'm like, oh, we'll see how this goes. But I'm sure it's going to fade nicely eventually. So I am up to day 9, which is today. And the vignette pattern is a part of the, I think, Knit Vent collection by Helen Stewart. I only bought the collection because I wanted this pattern. And this is the wrap version. There's also a blanket version of this pattern, which I think would be very, very beautiful. In terms of modifications, I am using way thinner needles. I'm using 3.25 millimeter US size 3 needles. And I didn't want it to be too wide, but I sort of missed the point where I could have made it like 1 repeat shorter. So I think I am making it, my rows are about 6 or 8 stitches narrower than the pattern, but barely. But then because I'm using a smaller needle size as well, I think it'll be a tiny bit narrow, but as you can see, it's still going to be a wide wrap. It is definitely wider than my cables allow it to be, but I think it'll be really, really pretty. And the other modification is that this pattern asks you to essentially use all 20 grams of each mini skein. But because A, I don't want this to be so long, and B, I want to do other things with this yarn, I started out using about 12 grams per mini. I'm now realizing I need to use a bit more, although this is a circular fade. So if I end up needing more length in the end, I can just start with the beginning again, which is nice. I am now using more like 13 to 14 grams of yarn per color, which means I have this in my little project box, which I still enjoy. I have all these little balls that are left over, and I really just want to magic knot these and make all the things with them, but I'm being sensible in case I need them again for the end bit, because I have been thinking that actually it might be quite nice if sort of the beginning and the end both have this purple color, and I could do that, at least somewhat. So yeah, I haven't decided yet, but this is my knit vent, and I've actually been really, really enjoying it. I think for me it is I don't get a fancy indie dyed yarn advent every year. And I would say this was one of the more affordable ones as well here in the UK. But if I do get one, I don't want to just collect the yarns. I want to use them for like a special project. And this is definitely serving that. And every day I am so tempted to just open the next day and keep knitting. So it's really working for me, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, that is my advent knitting. Should we do advent stitching, or should we do the rest of my whips? Let's just finish knitting maybe, because last week I forgot to show you my shift cowl. So the shift cowl is by Andrea Mowry. I've talked about it lots. I've made the shift pullover, which is it shifty or shift? I think it's a shifty sweater. I've made the shift shawl, whatever that is called, and this is the shift cowl. And I am using a mix of commercial and handspun yarn, and I think I love it. I really, really love it. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't worked on it much this week, but I did work on it the week before. I just forgot to show it to you. And I am using this handspun, which, can I say how much I love my own handspun? This is Punter's Arena's 2-ply woolen spun that I spun on my Ashford E-Spinner 3. And I am pairing it with this, which is Walcott Yarns Opus, which is, for me, this is fancier than what I usually knit with, but it is so lovely. This is so beautiful and drapey. It has a bit of alpaca, I believe. And the two of them are just producing such a nice fabric. So yeah, I should really continue on this. I think I have about 3 increase sections to go, and then I'll start decreasing. So I just need to push through these rows that are not really long, but longer, and then I can, at some point, it'll become faster again. So that is that one. And I showed you my sweater. Should I show you my socks? I haven't worked on my socks too much. I took them to work last week and actually got a fair bit of them done, because for the first time since summer I got a seat on the train, which is so sad. So I knit down to the heel. I turned the heel in a meeting, and I'm now on the foot. As you can see, this is sort of a longer sock for my standards. And the reason why I didn't knit on these crazy lots is because tomorrow my work has their Christmas party, which I am organizing partly, and we're doing a craft corner. So I'm going to be bringing my knitting. I have a couple of knitters on my team, which makes me very, very happy, and I think that is quite lucky. So I think this is going to be my knitting for the craft corner at work tomorrow. The yarn is a mystery one that both the person who destashed this to me for very, very little money and me believe is Spectrum Fibers. It's really fun. Again, my camera is not liking the pinks. It is blowing it out. It is bright, but it's not like pastel. It's really more like a proper pink. And the reason why I'm more convinced that it is Spectrum Fibers is because I now have some mini skeins of Spectrum Fibers, and they feel equally, like, just slightly more soft and drapey than your general sort of high twist 2-ply fingering weight yarn that you usually get here in the UK. And these sort of feel the same. So I think I am more convinced now that this is actually Spectrum Fibers. But I don't know. I got it on a destash. I think I got 2 50-gram bowls that were already bowled up for something like £8. So I wasn't asking questions. And yeah, these socks will be for me, and I really, really like them. All right, very briefly, before we talk about knitting plans, let's talk about stitching, because I did get the oh so beautiful Advent kit. I got this very, very last minute, I think with their Black Friday discount or something. And the idea is that, similar to my last one I did from them, which I showed you last week, it has all these little Christmassy motifs, and you do one a day. But what has happened is I'm just working all over it because, and I knew this when I ordered it, but I thought it wouldn't annoy me, but it does, is that when you're doing all these little motifs, sometimes you have like 3 stitches in one color, and then you need to change colors. And that just doesn't make sense for me. Like, if I have, a color attached, I'm going to be doing a couple of red things with the red yarn, red floss, rather than cutting it and then starting 3 stitches with yellow and then 3 stitches with green or whatever. So I have just been sort of working all over this as and how I felt like it. I think I am somewhat on track. This seems finishable by Christmas. But you can see loads of motifs. Like here I've done all the French knots, but I haven't done the green. Yeah, I've just been sort of working with whatever strikes my fancy, and if I have a bit of floss left after a motif, I will just start another motif rather than doing these day by day. Which makes me think if I ever do an embroidery advent again, it would have to be something where either you do like a color a day, or it's all in one color, or it would have to be like a different method for me to really enjoy it as an advent. But I am still enjoying it, so I'm not sure if anyone else is working on anything like this. Do let me know. I am enjoying it. It's really fun and cute. And if I do get it finished before Christmas, that means I can actually display it as well, which would be nice. So that is my advent stitching. Yeah, and yarn and knitting planning. Let's talk about that really quick. Because yesterday, I've been getting out my sweaters for a very sad reason. Something may have gotten eaten. I may have 3 sweaters less than I used to have over summer. Something happened. I'm not really sure how. Let's not even talk about it. Please don't send me advice. I'm thinking it may not have been moths, but carpet beetles, which is still annoying because I don't understand. Everything was stored in vacuum bags over summer. And my cabinet that my sweaters are in, that looks spotless. There's moth traps in there that haven't caught anything. I can't see anything, like any traces. And I have been in the past, sometimes I get messy and I have things sort of in not pristine shape, but that is not the case. So I'm not really sure. But anyways, this led me to look through my knits. And I did get this out again, which was last year's advent knitting that I did. This was the JC Rennie mini ball advent calendar by We County Yarns, which you got a little mini ball of JC Rennie each day and then a chart to go with it to make this cowl. And this made me remember, as well as touching some of my JC Rennie sweaters that I have in my closet, how much I just love JC Rennie Super Soft Yarn, which is not an ad. This is just my opinion. And at the same time, tomorrow, like I said, is my work Christmas party. And this reminded me that last year I wore my festive yoke sweater, which is my one Christmas sweater that I own. And last year I said, for this year, I want to make another festive yoke in different colors. And have I done that? No, I haven't even started. But somehow the combination of these two things made me realize that I want to make myself a festive yoke sweater for next year. And I was looking at this. Oh, it feels so nice. And there's one color combination that I really like, which is this. Hang on, can you see? So I was thinking, I really like these colors by themselves, and I would like to make maybe a Christmas jumper in this as the main and the contrast color. So I was trying to figure out with JC Rennie's website, and I have a couple of colors of theirs and so on, which colors I would need. And I am 98% sure that this green is not Loden, but dark olive. Those two were sort of the ones that would make sense. So I may have ordered a cone of that. And then this pink. I looked at all the pinks and I actually have like a pink mini bowl set for them, and none of them matched. Which was, I don't know, maybe this is a color they don't have anymore, or all of the colors on Ravelry and their website and We County's website, they all don't match up. I don't know. But a while ago, you may remember, I got myself a cone of their confetti colorway, which I thought would be the perfect sort of lilac-y pink, but it was a bit too light. So I'm still going to be using it for something, but it just wasn't what I wanted. And then at some point I got this, which I think this is what I did want. This is Heather Rose, also by JC Rennie. But again, this is not that. But I think it is close enough. I think it should sort of give the same effect. Unless this is that and it's just faded, but I would be surprised. But long story short, I also got this as a cone. Am I going to make this immediately? Probably not. I have a colorwork sweater on the needles, but if I forget, like by July, August, if I haven't started this sweater, do let me know, because I would really like to make one. And also both of these colors, both this and the green, I think will make beautiful sweaters by themselves as well. So I may have treated myself with the intention of knitting more garments and ideally a festive yoke. I mean, what I could also do is I could use the green for the festive yoke with a different contrast color, because you don't need that much of the contrast color. I don't know, but I wanted an anchors in this color last year, and then the one I got just wasn't quite that, so I never made that. So yeah, sweater planning is happening. And what was really funny is I really love this yarn. I've talked about it so many times. It comes on cones, or you can buy it in balls or mini balls, which is more pricey, of course, because they have been washed. So I tend to buy the cones straight from JC Rennie. They call them greasy cones. I've not had any difficulty. You just need to know that once you wash it, the yarn will only really bloom and become really beautiful. And I was showing my son the colors, because he loves yarn and colors and all of that. And I showed him this, and it's like, is it soft or is it scratchy? And my son was like, oh yeah, it's soft, it's lovely. And then I showed it to my husband, Kai, and he was like, oh my gosh, that is so scratchy. And then the same with his cowl, although he agreed that this feels much more soft and fluffy than this does, which is just goes to show what I keep telling everyone. But yeah, I just thought it was so interesting how my 4-year-old son and my husband could have such different opinions on what is soft. And that also sort of underlines when people ask me, is this yarn soft to the skin? It's very, very hard to tell. It is definitely a woolly yarn. I agree with my husband. Like, it is not crazy soft. But yeah, I am very, very excited by this, and I hope it'll get here sometime this week. Which sort of brings us into chit-chat. It's Monday. It's been really, really busy. We've had a lot of like work, house, kids, school, everything is just sort of kicking off at the moment. My son's school are doing a million things, which frankly I think are a bit too much both for us and my son. But he did his little like carols in the church thing last Friday, which was very, very cute. And this week they're having like a panto trip and all these things. And then last Friday, when my husband was in London for his Christmas party, of course the heating started sounding very, very funny. So I was like phoning the heating engineer, gas engineer at like 8 p.m. on a Friday. Luckily he's a really, really nice guy. So we've been dealing with that, and it seems to be a thing where it's a bit funny, but it's not really worth doing anything about it for now, which is a bit nerve-wracking, but fair enough. Yeah, it's just been a lot of different things. And then tomorrow is my work thing, and then on Wednesday, Kai, the lucky guy, is going to Rome for a couple of days for work. So he's basically having a free holiday, which is great for him, but also of course means that I'll be solo parenting and juggling work and school and kid and all of that. So that should be interesting. That is also why I decided to record today, because I mean, I may be surprised, but I'm imagining this will be sort of stressful. So I thought I would take the time today to record. And yeah, it's just sort of one thing after the other. I really need to get on top of Christmas presents. But yeah, I just hope at some point it will slow down, and I don't really think it will. We'll be going to Germany over Christmas as well. Haven't really thought about that too much, but I need to start thinking about that soon as well. But yeah, we're just sort of plodding along, and I'm hoping at some point things will slow down somewhat again, but we will see. And until then, I'll just sort of keep crafting and knitting my little heart out. I haven't spun for weeks. I haven't crocheted for weeks. Like, all the things I like to do, there just seem to be less hours in the day at the moment, but I'm really hoping at some point that will change again. Anyways, that's me chatting away, and I think I've made good use of my lunch break, but I should get back to work. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do let me know what you've been working on and crafting and playing with in terms of yarn and patterns and all of those things. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are doing well, you are healthy and safe. And yeah, I will talk to you again very, very soon. Until then, happy knitting. Take care. Bye.